Hey guys, I know you missed me. It's Miss Colvin again, and today we're talking about inequalities. So we know inequalities are like equations, but they're a little bit different because they don't have an equal sign, they have symbols. And so we know those symbols are either greater than or less than, and many people have different types of ways that they use to remember which one points which way. My personal opinion, you just need to come up with something for yourself, whatever works best for you for remembering which one is greater than or less than. Not that it really matters, because you can still solve them without actually knowing which one's greater than and which one's less than. Okay, and then we also have two more symbols that are important. We could use greater than or equal to or less than or equal to also. Okay, and those actually do have part of the equal sign in them, but they're not an actual equal sign because of the greater than or less than part there. Okay, so the main thing we need to remember about inequalities is that any time during our problem we multiply or divide by a negative number, we have to flip the symbol. And this is where most people mess up on the ACT, on any standardized test. Most students mess up because they know how to work out the problem, they know how to multiply or divide by the negative, but they don't remember to flip the symbol, and it gets them every time. Okay. So for the first example, I picked a really easy one. It is negative b minus 2 is greater than 8. And so I'm going to use what I know about two-step equations, and I'm going to solve this inequality using the directions from the two-step equations that we've already learned. So I know that if I want to solve for positive b, then I need to undo my negative 2 right here that's attached to it first. Okay, and so it's attached by subtraction. We're going to undo it with addition. So we're going to undo negative 2 by adding 2 to both sides of the equation of the inequality symbol. Okay, so from there, we are going to move down the negative b and then move down our symbol. Remember, right there, we added or subtracted something. We didn't multiply or divide by a negative number, so we don't flip our symbol yet. But once we get 10 over here, we have a negative b is greater than 10. So we know from that we have to get rid of the negative in front of the b because we're just solving for b. And the only way we can do that is by dividing by a negative 1. So if I divide both sides by a negative 1, I have to remember to bring down my b, and then the main thing to remember, flip your symbol. So it went from greater than to less than. So b is less than negative 10. Okay, let's try one a little. Okay, for this next example, we're going to use some distributive property that we already know. So we have negative 3 parentheses p plus 1 is less than or equal to negative 18. And so we know that if we have a number, a coefficient in front of a parentheses, we're going to have to distribute it out to both terms within the parentheses. So our negative 3 gets multiplied times p, so that gives me my negative 3p. And then negative 3 gets multiplied by the other term, 1. And negative 3 times 1 is negative 3. Okay, you might ask yourself, well, I just multiplied by a negative number through both of those, all this side over here just got multiplied by that negative 3. So does that mean that I flipped my symbol? Well, you have to ask yourself, did you do the whole thing? Well, I didn't multiply negative 18 times negative 3 because it's over here on this side of the equal sign and it's not part of the distributive property that we used. So no, we do not flip our symbol here. I will give you an example here in a little bit whenever we do flip it because of multiplication. But in this one right here, whenever it's just distributive property on one side of the equation, it's not going to flip the symbol. Okay, so now we're going to finish it out using what we know about two-step equations. And we're going to apply it to this inequality. So we have a negative 3, and we're going to undo that subtraction with addition. So we're going to add 3 to cancel out the negative 3, and then we're also going to add 3 to the other side of this inequality here. And so if we add 3 to negative 18, we're going to get negative 15, and these cancel out. We're going to bring the rest down. So we're going to bring down negative 3p, and we're going to bring down our less than or equals to. Okay, and then this last step, we again have a coefficient here in front of the p, which is negative 3, and we're going to have to get rid of it to solve for p. So we are going to divide both sides of our problem by -3 and get our final answer. You did divide by a negative in that step, so you're going to bring down P, but then you're going to flip your symbol from greater than or equal to from less than or equal to greater than or equal to 5. All right, and now let's try one last example. This one looks a little bit difficult because it has a fraction in it. Those are the scary ones, but I promise you, every fraction can be undone with multiplication. So for the first step, again, you want to worry about everything except for the term that has the variable in it. That's this term right here. The x is right here. So we're going to worry about this -8 right here first. Okay, I'm going to add 8 to both sides. So I'm going to add 8 here, cancel out, and I'm going to add 8 to -12 here. So I'm going to bring down that first term, x over -6 is less than or equal to -12 plus 8 would be -4. Okay, and then for my last step, I need to get rid of that denominator right here, get rid of the fraction, and again, you can use multiplication. All you have to do is take the denominator, multiply it on both sides of the symbol or the equal sign. Here, the -6's, that's our denominator here, so I'm going to multiply by -6. That cancels itself out, So we just bring down the x. Over here, we have -6 times -4. Negative times a negative is a positive 24. And from this step, remember, we just multiplied through the whole entire thing in this step by negative. So we are going to have to flip that less than or equal to symbol to a greater than or equal to symbol for our final answer. Remember, the main thing to remember is just flip the sign if you multiply or divide by a negative number.